It's that time again. Welcome to the Steel City Roundtable, your home for real stories from real people, where everyone matters and all stories deserve to be told. Before we get down to the meat and potatoes of the show, we have to go over our legal disclaimer. The views and opinions expressed on the Steel City Roundtable are for entertainment and informational purposes only. We are not professionals or affiliated with any professional organizations. If you are in crisis, dial 911 immediately and seek professional help. And here are your hosts. Hey guys, this is Mark with the Steel City Roundtable. How are you guys doing? Another wonderful Sunday. Oh, and there's the light of my life, Miss Kelly Gibson.
Of course. Hi, misters and sisters.
Yeah, well, it's good to be back. We also have our friend Mike helping us out on the cameras on the technological aspects. So, Mike, if you could say hello to everybody.
Hey, hello. Happy Sunday, everybody.
Okay, so how's everybody's week?
Week was good.
Yeah, what went on this week?
I won my civil case.
Yeah?
That was good. It's been going on for 8 years, so that's annoying. But it's done, so that's good.
Yeah?
What else did we do this week? I went to my friend's daughter's birthday party yesterday.
Yeah?
That was fun.
Good.
She's a maniac. I love it.
The kid or her friend?
Both.
Oh, okay. All right, good. So you had a good week overall?
Yeah, what'd you do?
Oh, you know me, I worked. I had to go out of town one day this week and spend a night in a hotel up in Oswego, New York, which is about 400 miles away. Yeah, I mean, it kind of sucks. It's not horrible, but
No,
it's a hotel, and hotels are triggers.
It wasn't a Roach Motel?
No, it was a Holiday Inn, but it's still a trigger. It's still a trigger because I never went to hotels unless I was like partying with somebody or on a vacation or something. So, but yeah, I didn't drink again, so I'm good there. Been spending time with the dog and just enjoying my life.
Sure.
I'm gonna go golfing tomorrow. Yeah.
Try not to hurt yourself.
We'll talk about that. Mike, how'd your week go, brother?
Not too bad. I dealt with some fun stuff with insurance. But I've got my medical bills paid, and I'm on insurance, so that's good. As as they'd say, I can go get hit by an ambulance now, and now I'm covered by insurance. So that's nice.
Don't go do that because if you fall off a fence, and you go to Allegheny General Hospital and you're there for 2 hours, it costs you about $12,000.
Yeah.
My medical bills were submitted for $12,000 for a 2-hour visit, and they didn't diagnose me with anything. And there were some things wrong, but they're all gonna heal. I'm fine.
It's just as bad. I need a tooth pulled in the back.
That's so easy.
We got pliers right here.
We got
You know
pliers. We got rope.
I mean, let's do it then. Get some Orajel up in this bitch, because they're telling me my insurance does not cover extraction.
I think I would have to ask some permission from somebody else in the room before I go yanking your teeth out.
Oh, yeah, probably. But, it is my mouth. I'll do what I want.
You got me. I couldn't keep a straight face on that one. Holy shit. My brain just went 17 different places, and none of them were good.
Oh, you're
my God.
terrible.
All right,
Oh,
so
God.
Mike, if people don't remember, Mike joined us last week. Unfortunately, John is taking a break. He's got some things going on in his personal life. So, as always, we wish you the best. We love you. We hope everything works out and you do what you need to do. And you're always welcome if you want to come back in when you have time. But like I said, best of luck, brother. We appreciate everything you've done, and we understand. People's lives change. People's lives change, and things have to happen.
I still want to be your flower girl, so get at me.
Yeah, so we'll see you again soon. But so Mike was here last week. If you don't mind me going into a little bit, I met Mike as he is in recovery as well. So Mike, why don't you just give people a quick 360 of what is going on in your life so that they get to know you a little bit.
So I just finished up treatment a couple of weeks ago, and I know we were introduced through a mutual friend of ours, and I'm out for alcohol. So, and actually today is my 60th day of sobriety.
Woo!
Yeah, so I celebrated that this morning at a meeting.
Did you do it with a shot and a beer?
I shot of coffee and and a donut. Yep. Exactly.
Alcoholics celebration.
That is. So sugar on sugar. I relocated here from Omaha, Nebraska to basically get my life straight, get sobriety, figure some stuff out, and I'm doing that just now. I grew up close to here on the Ohio side. This in Steubenville, Ohio. So grew up there, and I've been all over. Got a good deal of traveling, and that's me right now. And I've got a heck of a alcohol addiction.
Well, welcome as always. Glad you made 60 days. It's a big milestone.
Yes, thank you.
I know when I hit 60 days, I was like, oh shit, I'm still sober and I haven't screwed up yet.
Right? And I feel
so-
good. I'm starting to feel
Yeah.
good. This is weird.
Yeah, so it's we decided that we would like to have Mike help us out because we just want to, pay it forward.
Yeah.
And this helps with my sobriety too.
Yeah. I mean, it always helps to be surrounded by people that understand what you're doing, going through. And granted, I'm difficult to work with.
Yes, you are.
Yeah. I admit it. So
Whatever. You're just a crybaby. We love you still.
some days, when folks getting this shit set up is such a pain in the ass. Like every week, my mindset changes. Every week, my vision changes. Literally, like I go blind. Every week, like I'm trying a different camera angle. I'm trying a different thing, and it always looks the same when I'm done. It's like it's just not good enough. But hey, listen.
It is good enough. We know we're good enough.
I think it turned out nice. I like it.
Yeah, I mean, it's the American
Seriously.
flag is because our president Donald Trump. You rock, bro. Like you took a bullet and Biden poops his pants. So yeah, I'm voting for Trump. Shit. If you're crazy, you hear all this shit coming out about the Secret Service f up and how what's her name, Cheeto is going to resign because she's a moron. No aerial surveillance during a presidential visit. No aerial surveillance, but yet the bad guy had a drone up. But hey, listen, America. Yeah, so we're not going to get on that soapbox today because I mean, literally, that'll take up 7 hours because I've been watching this guy Dan Bongino on Rumble. If you get a chance, D Bongino on Rumble, the guy's amazing. Former Secret Service agent, former new NYPD. He's releasing information 2 and 3 days before the news is getting it. So he's got the inside ties, he's got the track, and he's been releasing some really good shit. And some of these things you're going to hear are just going to make you wonder what in the F is the Secret Service getting paid to do, because apparently it's not to catch bullets and instead let the president get shot.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'm off that soapbox. We are going to talk about step 2 today.
Step 2.
We are continuing our path for the not explanation, but description of the steps and how we have done them.
Yeah, how it's applied specifically to us. And maybe somebody can take some of what we've done and apply it to their situation.
Yeah, so last week was step 1.
Step 1.
Admitted that we are powerless
Hot
over
mess.
alcohol, over addiction, that our lives have become unmanageable,
Manageable.
which is 100% true.
Yep.
So today, Mike, why don't you read off step 2 for us?
Yeah, so step 2 is we came to be aware that a power greater than ourselves could restore us to sanity.
Okay, so what does that mean?
To me?
What does that mean to you that you are becoming aware that something else in the world is running the show?
Well, that's just the thing. I got beef with God. You know this. We've had this conversation. I got big beef with God right now. And it's hard for me that he's an all-loving God and helping me through my recovery, because he is there helping me. That's what the second step is. I've given myself to God and hope he helps me in my journey. But I got beef with him right now. So Lucifer? No, I'm gonna start worshiping Satan. I don't know.
No.
Honestly, I don't know. I don't know. When I
let's-
started on the path to sobriety, I completely gave myself to God. The Saturday after everything happened in October, I spent 4 hours on my knees in church, crying, bawling, waiting for a priest to be available so that I could confess. So, I needed God right then and there. And I've gotten to that point. I've given Like, God, please help me, make good decisions today. Guide me, blah, 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 blah. And then June happened, and I'm kind of mad at him.
Yeah, like I just found my way back to church, right? Like I'm not saved. I'm not, I'm still a knucklehead. I'm still believing the things that I believe. Nobody's changed my opinion, but now I'm open to it. So read the first part of that again. I want you to get it word for word because I can tell you, but I'll get the words mixed up.
We came to be aware that a power greater than ourselves could restore us to sanity.
Okay, so step 2 for me is to become aware. It is not so much of an action step. You don't have to do anything but acknowledge that you don't have control.
Sure.
Like everybody goes off, like immediately you went to religion, you went to spirituality, you went to God, which is what the program, for the most part, teaches. It
Sure.
teaches that the higher power is a spiritual being. It is God. But if you read further into the big book down the road, there's actually parts in there where I can't give you pages because I'm not that guy.
Sure.
But it's where they're talking, and it's this argument. I think it was between Dr. Bob and one of his friends. I can't remember it's like I said, I don't know the book, but I don't know it inside and out. But basically, it came down to the fact that he couldn't believe in a program that he had to believe in God because he didn't believe in God. And what it turned out to be is that you don't have to believe in God. Your higher power is your higher power.
Yeah,
it
it
can
could
be
be
a
anything.
purple elephant for all you
Correct.
want it to be.
Correct.
Yes, that's
You know,
right.
For example, when I came out of treatment, my higher power was I didn't want to die.
Sure.
Like that's what motivated me to stay sober when I got home. I didn't want to die. I was going to kill myself before I went in, and I didn't want to die. So that got me through, a month, maybe a month and a half. And then I had to find something else. And I think this is I think this step is kind of it's overlooked and it's not. They talk about it a lot in the programs 1, 2, and 3.
Sure, yeah.
The first 3 steps are always what they talk about for beginners. And step 2 is, I think it's overlooked sometimes because it is actually a process. It's actually something you have to do mentally and emotionally.
Sure.
But it's not like, I'm not openly admitting anything to anybody. Like inside right now, step 2, I'm like, okay, something's fucked up. My life is screwed up and I can't control it. So I have to break down the internal walls, the walls that I've built in my own psyche to be able to accept the fact that I don't have fucking control of anything.
Sure.
So I think it's a very important step because it's a very, I always talk about self-awareness.
Yeah.
Like this is the truest form of self-awareness. You got to look at yourself and go, hey, every time I take control, the wheels fall off the bus, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, to me, step 2, they don't really call it an action step because it's not like you're physically doing anything. Like you're not jumping up and saying, hey, I'm an alcoholic. It's like you are doing self-evaluation. So I think that step 2 was super difficult for me.
Yeah, but like I said, for me, I just help me God. And who really I've been saying this to you guys for a couple weeks. Kenny was paramount in me getting
Kenny who?
thin.
Gotcha, buddy.
Yeah, right. That dude's up there like, fuck you, Mark. We love him. Okay. He was paramount in helping me get clean. Like he was my dude, He was the first person I called when everything happened. He was the first person I talked to about getting clean, So this past since June 1st, I've been struggling a little bit.
Well, I texted you this week. I went golfing on Monday out at a course out in West Mifflin. And the way we drove, we came right out at his memorial.
Oh yeah.
Like the way we came up when we went to put the cross up.
Yeah.
We came up that road and there was a left and there was over there.
Shitty.
We came the same way. So I just told my buddy, I was like, I got to stop there on the way back. And we stopped, and I sent you a text message. I just went up to his cross. We get this beautiful stainless steel cross in the ground that my buddy Chad, love you, bud. He had his friend make it at work. It's like 4 feet tall. It's
Yeah,
amazing. It's
it's
like weighs like
beautiful.
60 pounds.
Yeah,
It's
it's
beautiful. But yeah, I just sat down and I put my head down and I put my hand on the cross and I literally just said, "Hey, bro, we're doing okay. Podcast is still going. We miss you, but we're okay." And then that was it, you know.
Yeah.
But it was one of those things where, like, a random event, like what caused me to get sober, a random event, you know, like shit hit the fan. Like the world, our lives are full of brief moments, you know, and these brief moments either lead us down the wrong path again, or they can take us down a better path.
Yeah.
So, coming full circle, you know, with step 2, you know, it took me a really long time to even understand that I didn't have control. You know, even being sober.
Yeah.
I mean, what was it like for you? You know, you said you kind of you went down on one knee and were like, "God, I need your help." But do you think you really were willing to accept that you weren't in control at that point?
No, I don't, I don't think I realized that. I just realized there was a problem. Like I was definitely on step 1. My life had become unmanageable and it was out of control and, you know, everything was falling down around me. Like my whole life was imploding and I needed God at that moment. I told you, it was like divine intervention.
Yeah, how you got your therapist and all that
Yeah.
stuff. Yeah, I remember.
Yeah, so like, you know, there is a God. There is. I'm just mad at him. That's all.
Yeah. So, at this point, you have completed step 2, of course. You know, you're this far along the program, so you know that you're not in control.
Yeah, not at all.
Do you mind if I ask you what your higher power is right now? Like what you turn to?
Oh, I still believe in God.
So God is your higher power
God is-
overall.
yeah, God is my higher power, and you know, he's there for me, but I'm mad at him. You know, that's just like a parent. You know, I love my dad, but I get pissed off at him. Like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? But for me, yes, yeah,
Yeah, see, I catch a little bit of crap because my higher power is service work.
okay,
You know, for me, it's doing this. It's meeting people that are fresh out of recovery and trying to help them adjust to, you know, getting back in the world again, out of the safe bubble of treatment. It's, you know, I don't know if I told you, I am going to try to get a part-time job at a treatment center here in Pittsburgh.
are you?
Yeah.
You didn't tell me that.
I talked to him this week. I got to be sober 4 more months. And then
Very cool.
Yeah, it's crazy here in Pittsburgh. Like you don't have to have. I was thinking about going back to school to get a counseling degree, right?
Sure.
And a master's, and I'm like, well, maybe I should call them first and find out what you need to. Because all I want to do is just want to be there and help.
Sure.
You know, I just want to be like a tech and just like help people deal with their day. And they're like 18 months sober, a bunch of clearances, and we'll hire you part time. And I'm like, I don't even care about the money. Like they're like, we don't take volunteers. I was like, fine, pay me, but I don't give a shit about your money.
I don't get it. Yeah,
You know,
I'm
like-
not in it for the money.
So coming in probably 4 months, if I get the job, I will be working, you know, 5 days a week at my regular job, doing this on Sundays, and then working on Mondays, and basically having no time off anymore. But I think it's going to be good for me.
Oh, you're gonna be such a peach. I'm so
yeah.
excited for the freaking phone calls. I'm so excited.
Yeah, but I mean that's what keeps me going. Like
You're
you know,
a good man. I don't
sometimes,
know if anybody tells you that.
sometimes.
You are. You're a good guy.
Yeah, but I wasn't always. You know,
Yeah, you
when
were
I
a
was
shitbag.
when
I
I
was
was
a shitbag.
when I was ignoring the idea of step 2, like
Yes.
it literally took me like 3 or 4 months of being sober
Okay.
before I figured out like that I really didn't have any control and that something else was pulling the strings because I didn't want to give up control. I mean, my life had hit the toilet, so you know, I didn't trust anything. I didn't trust anybody. You know, I was just trying to figure my shit out. And step 2 and step 3 were the hardest for me to accept the fact that I didn't have control and then to give myself to that higher power. You know, and we'll get into step 3 next week. But I mean, they're so tied tightly. So I mean, we can talk about them both. I don't care. They're tied together so tightly. You know, first you have to admit that you aren't in control. Then you have to figure out what is in control,
Mm-hmm.
and then you have to give yourself to that idea of what is in control.
Yeah.
It's not a simple thing. And I'm not an atheist, but it's not simple for me because I grew up in a family where my mother, I love her, but she's batshit crazy. And, her whole idea was like, oh, if you don't do this, you're going to hell. If you do this, you're going to heaven. God was a punishing God growing up.
God, you know what? God was a punishing God for me too. Like Catholic, Roman Catholic.
Yeah, see, I wasn't. I was like mainstream Christianity, like it was called Moravian,
Oh.
like Lutheran, like it's very,
Oh,
very laid
okay.
back. Like we have the thing called a Moravian star. You see it sometimes. It's like this like 60-some point fucking star, but whatever.
I know what you're talking. Okay.
Yeah, it
okay.
lights up. Like my mom, we were Moravian, then we were Lutheran, then we were. She went Southern Baptist. She's like, oh, praise Jesus, praise God, woo! That's what she does now. So I couldn't really do that. And the whole God thing growing up was like, if you did this, you were bad. If you did this, you were good. And then she would justify her behaviors by saying, well, God only accepts this. And she'd like smack me in the mouth and be like, God told me to,
Yeah.
And she's nuts. But yeah, so believing in God was difficult for me, period,
See,
growing up.
I did the whole thing. I went the whole gamut. I was baptized Roman Catholic, and I went to Catholic school until I was in 4th grade, and then I went to CCD until I was in 8th grade, made my confirmation, made my communion, made my reconciliation.
I went to Catholic school.
Did you?
Yeah, after I got kicked out of public school.
Did they kick your ass? They beat you with rollers?
No, apparently I hit a teacher during a fight, and they didn't like that.
Oh.
So then instead of getting suspended like for 3 days, my mother's like, you're not going back to that school.
Oh.
Next thing you know, I was in a Catholic school with like, my graduating class was like 41.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I ended up in a Catholic school, and that's when I started drinking
Oh.
and smoking weed in
Yeah.
Catholic school.
You know what? We always said that. Like, I went to Otterdays, which we weren't like, we weren't good kids. We were a bunch of assholes.
Yeah.
But we always the Central boys and the Oakland Catholic girls, grody. They were grody. They were so gross. Like the girls would roll their skirts up. You can watch them to this day. I'm sure you can still watch them. They come out of school, and their skirts have to be as long as their fingertips, right?
Mm-hmm.
When you put your arms down, that's appropriate. They come out and they roll it up until like the bottom of their butt cheeks are hanging out. Total whores. It's fantastic.
We're never going to get picked up by anybody serious talking like that.
I mean,
But it's okay, because that's what we do. Yeah.
I am what I am. I can't help it.
I didn't drink until I went to Catholic school. I just played sports and didn't do anything else. Played sports, did my studies, and that was it. And then went to Catholic school, and then, shit, look at me now.
Yeah.
Drank every day, drank on lunch break.
Yeah, I went into public school and started experimenting. And then, it was real easy to get alcohol because my parents drink. So
Yeah.
I don't want to talk about that. But, yeah,
That's fine. You have to talk about it now you brought it up.
I'll talk to you afterwards.
I'm kidding. I don't give a shit what you talk about. Didn't you know this show's all about me?
It is all about
I'm
you.
kidding.
Ugh.
So, Mike, what's your take on step 2?
So I'm trying to figure that out too, because my head's pretty clear. I mean, it's only been 60 days, but I've struggled with this, is that I need to see something physically happen, and so because my higher power, yeah, it could be my parents, though it's probably God. Maybe it's Alyssa, my wife. I'm not sure. I'm still trying, as I go to meetings, as I do this, as I volunteer, and everything else in my life. I'm still trying to figure it out, some sort of, I don't know, sign from God, for lack of a better cliche. So, but I do know that what got me in, what was my higher power for, I don't know, the last 30 years was alcohol. So it got me into this, predicament and this disease. And yeah, so I don't want to say maybe like looking for a sign almost, because I just want to do the next. Every day I get up and I pray now, and I'm sticking to a structured schedule, And so, like you said, it took you 4 or 5 months, I think you said, before you had an idea. And I'm at 2, and maybe that's what it's going to be for me. But there definitely, I mean, there's definitely a higher power. I just, with all the other stuff rumbling around in my sober head, I just got to get it all straightened out up there.
So at this point, do you still think you have control?
Oh, absolutely not.
So you know that you don't have control and that something else has control. You just don't know what that is yet.
Yes, you
Like
just
in,
said it
in
way
your
better.
heart of hearts, you don't know what to believe in, which is fine. It's normal.
That's normal.
Yeah, I mean
And
that's
can I just say, you're not just 60 days sober. You're 60 days
Thank you.
sober.
Yeah.
That is important.
And that's funny you say that, because this is the first truthful 60 days sober I've had since probably high school.
Nice.
And I texted a couple of people with my coin, and I even put in there truthful, because, this was not my first treatment. And, other times I had, lapsed a little bit, a lot bit. And, and I just thought I could play it off. Everyone in my circle knew. So yeah, this is and I feel really good about it. I do feel like it's a huge accomplishment for me. So yeah, it is 60 days. I don't want to say just 60 days. You're right.
Yeah.
So thank you, Kel. But yeah, so I'm just staying in the moment, not looking forward, not looking backwards, just staying in the moment right now.
One day at a time, brother.
I mean the key's being present, right? Like
Yes.
taking every little thing that like we're off track, but we always are.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, remembering that, like you said, this isn't your first treatment, and for 30 years you've been under the foot of addiction, and you've played the game before. You've rolled the dice on sobriety and said, we'll see what happens, and that never works. Until and I think we've said this before, until someone is ready, like physically ready, and I think a lot of the times that involves being physically beat down, mentally broken. Just you don't want to wake up anymore. And for me, I didn't know what was wrong. I knew I had a drinking problem, right? I knew it. I was talking about rehab for like 6 months before I went. But until you hit that point where there's no reason to live, I think unfortunately that's where a lot of us have to go before the change starts. I keep bringing up this shirt. I didn't know rock bottom has a basement.
Yeah.
And I think for me, I was living in rock bottom, thinking that was the worst.
Yeah.
And then the basement doors opened up, and I went down there, and that's where all the dark, scary things live.
Yeah.
And it took me getting to that point to realize that I was going to die.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, that's what a lot of us have to go through before we make a change. Mike, you wanted to say something?
Yeah. You're absolutely correct there. I've been living in rock bottom for a few years now, and it's my fault. I've made the decisions, but this time, and where I'm hoping it's going to stick is, like I said, stick to my plan. But that rock bottom, I have changed everything 180 degrees. The way I think, and just because I know I'm powerless over this, and I'm in a recovery house right now. In my huge ego, before I was, I'm too good for this. There's no way. I'm not going to live in a halfway house. This so far, we're only a couple. Stop saying, Mike. We're only a couple weeks in, but it has been the best thing for me so far. Just living in a community of sober people, because I thought I came out and all those pink clouds and everything that I would. And all the positivity, I'm like, I got this. No, I didn't have it. I don't have it. I don't know. I doubt I'll ever have it. I'm always going to be in recovery or recovering. So, but I was on my way to drinking myself to death, and I didn't care. Yeah. This was just a couple of months ago. I mean, it's super scary, but I was broken. I was beaten down. I was having seizures. All my doing, again, I'm not blaming it on anybody but myself. It's nobody else's fault but mine. But yeah, and I was completely done with life. I'm over, and I'll go into it another time. But I feel great now. It's just amazing what you remember, and how when you're sober, how you know how good life can be, and remember how good life can be.
Yeah, you know what's crazy? Like, whenever I was quitting the pills, I kept thinking, I'm going to be in so much pain. I'm going to be in so much pain. I'm going to be in so much pain. And I was, like, after I stopped taking them, like, every ache, every bone, every muscle, just everything hurt. But eventually it just all went away. And I was fine not taking the pills anymore. Do you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, I mean, alcohol. I was depressed and anxious and, all these feelings. Like, when I got sober, it took months before my brain started to feel like I could think logically again.
yeah,
I was, I always say alcoholics, addicts, doesn't matter. Addiction's addiction. It's the
Yeah.
same fucking thing, right?
Yeah.
Like, we're both dealing with the same demons, just a different,
Yep, just
you're in this room, I'm in this room,
yep.
but we're fighting the same fight. It took me forever to like truly look back and understand what I was doing because I didn't remember a lot of the things I was doing. Like I was so much of a heavy drinker, like Mike, I was drinking myself stupid every night. And I'm sure I was doing dumb shit,
Of course you were doing dumb shit.
but I
was
couldn't
doing
remember.
dumb shit.
I couldn't remember. So, I have to thank the relationship that I had just gotten out of because if I would have stayed in that relationship, I think I would have died. Because
Funny
I
you
think I
say
would
that.
have kept drinking the way I was drinking because, that was part of what was really screwing me up was where that relationship went. And one of my really close friends said, yeah, it was a horrible relationship, but it served a purpose. It got you clean.
Yeah, I mean,
Because I was so far down, like, everybody says rock bottom's a bad place. It's not the nicest place to be, but guess what, folks? Rock bottom is where changes happen.
yeah,
That's where you make that decision to take the other path.
it is. And it's weird that it's the same thing for me. It was a relationship. I mean, dipshit was just ridiculously stupid abusive,
Yeah.
you know? We haven't talked about him in a while.
We haven't had to. We haven't had to because he's not even part of our lives anymore. So, DS, we don't care about you anymore.
Oh, and you're fat.
Hey, high road. High road.
I can't
Gosh, you love to drag yourself through the mud, don't you?
I do.
Anyway,
Mark,
back.
Mark, real quick. Sorry to interrupt, but I'm glad you said that about the memory thing because, like I said, 60 days. But I feel my head's so clear. I'm still not remembering things like my short-term memory. So for you to say that makes me feel a little bit better because there's been a lot of things that people say to me, and a few minutes later, I'm like, I have no clue. Like,
Bro, wait till you see when your body starts to heal. My
Sure.
kidneys were basically like stage 1 kidney failure
wow.
when I went into treatment, and I just got blood work done in March, and they were finally back to normal. It took almost a year
Right?
for my kidneys to heal. So you're gonna folks. It truly is amazing once you get sober, once you get clean, how your memory starts to come back, your ability to think logically comes back, your ability to fight fear with logical thought, and the way I had all kinds of back problems. My back barely hurts anymore
Yeah, I mean, that's
because I don't have all that shit in my system.
same. It's the
Just
same thing.
leading to more inflammation and more uncomfortable and no sleep and all the shit that goes along with it.
And no sleep. Ugh. I've been having really have you been having problems sleeping lately? I have.
Yeah, I mean, I have a dog that likes to jump around all night long, but
It's because she's a maniac.
yeah, she's a maniac. Yeah, I mean, I have problems sleeping. I've always had problems sleeping. Sleep was really rough when I came home.
Yeah.
I couldn't sleep worth shit when I came home.
Oh yeah. When I quit.
Yeah, that was a
Oh.
mess.
Oh no. I didn't
they-
sleep for days.
They had me so tuned up on drugs at treatment just to get me to sleep at night. And then when they weaned me off of that stuff when I came home and I was taking melatonin, I'm like, this shit sucks. And then, finally it was, everything's a transition, right? Like, so everything in recovery is a transition in my mind. So like step 1 to step 2, there's a transition that takes place. You have to start at the bottom and say, I'm helpless. I can't fix this. I have no control. Then you got to sit there and go, okay, who does control this? That's like one of the biggest questions you ask yourself in recovery is if I don't have control, who do I turn to?
Yeah.
Is it a person? Is it an idea? Is it something tangible? Is it a table? Okay, this table's going to save my life. Hey, you know what? It can be.
It can be.
If this is what you got to hold on to when you're having a rough day to get you through the day and sit there going, I really love this table. Love table. Brick love lamp. I really love this table. I mean, that's the thing about the higher power is
But that's one of the things we talk about in NA. Well, like in in the rooms, one of there was a principal or a reading, It was a while ago, and it was talking about that higher power and how it can be literally anything. It could be God. It could be, an angel, like saint,
Coffee.
coffee. It could be coffee. I'm sure yours is coffee,
Blueberry coffee.
blueberry coffee. But like it could be anything. It could be your mom. It could be your dad. It could just recognizing there's somebody greater than you is enough. That's literally how they feel. It's you're putting it in somebody else's hands.
So are you guys like me in that I've had a transition several times in recovery of what my higher power is? Like I started off with one thing, and then that worked to get me to a point, and then I was like, okay, this isn't working anymore. I want to drink. So what do I put my faith in now? So for like me, it was not dying. And then when I got out, it was AA. And then at some point, AA wasn't enough for me. Like, I still believe in AA 100%. I think it's a great program. I think what they do is amazing. I think if you do the 12 steps, you're going to learn a lot about yourself. But just AA isn't enough for me anymore. So now it's the service aspect of it. It's giving back. It's paying it forward. It's trying to help other people that are suffering in an addiction, because I know that if I didn't have that, I would still be drinking,
Yeah.
and I'd probably be dead. So like, I have gone through 2 or 3 different higher powers, quote unquote.
I mean, when I first quit, because I dropped the pills like last April, not this past April, like the April before that, 2023. For that time period until October 31st, I was in survival mode the whole time. So I don't know if I believed in anything except I didn't want to be that person anymore. I was just surviving because a dude. But that was a turning point when I had that moment in church where, like, I felt so close to God that day. I felt like He heard me, And as it's gone along, like I said, I've always turned to God. Like, sometimes you guys, I don't tell anybody this. I don't know why I'm telling you now, but sometimes I just go to church and sit for an hour, and I just take it in, And I don't say anything. I don't say any specific prayers or anything like that, but I do that. And since June 1st, I haven't, because I'm mad. So like maybe I need to find something else right now.
Yeah, I mean, we keep mentioning June 1st, folks. If you haven't seen our show before, our bestie for life, Kenny Finnegan, died on 6/1 of this year due to a motorcycle accident. So when we talk about 6/1, that's what we're talking about, because we both miss him. But yeah, I mean, it just, I don't think, this is where I always talk about where I differ from AA, where we differ from AA. Like, I don't believe that these steps happen in chronological order. I think that they happen when they happen.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
so for me, I was saying in treatment, like, hey, 12-step is going to be my thing. Like, I want to help other people. I want to maybe go back to school. I want to, like, that was something that was guiding me already, because it's something I knew I had to do. Like, I knew I had to give back. Like, that's just me. I was such a dickhead for so long.
Yeah.
So selfish for so long. Like, I had to do something better.
Yeah.
But, like, step 2 and step 3 probably didn't happen till, like, 6-8 months in. Like, I wasn't willing to give I gave my control up, but I didn't know where I was putting it.
Yeah.
Right? Like, I didn't know where my control was going. I was just saying, I can't do this. I can't control this, because every time I do it, I fuck it up.
Right. And like in that sense, like you kind of jump. You know what I mean? So like for right now, I'm putting my faith in my therapist, who's going to guide me through this part of my recovery. And then now I'm going to rely on my psychiatrist to get me the type of meds to get my head right. And then I'm going to rely on my significant other, who's going to talk me down whenever I'm feeling some type of, do you see what I mean?
Yeah,
Like,
but you're missing something there.
what?
When are you going to depend on yourself?
I don't.
Because you're so
depend on
strong.
myself. I mean,
Like, you've talked about everything else about other people, but nowhere in there did you say that I count on myself.
I don't.
Well, you should. I mean, you're 9 months sober.
Almost, yeah.
You're 9 months sober. You did it all on your own. Like, you should start counting on yourself. Like, you should start trusting yourself that you are a strong person. Like,
I'll
this
work
is
on it.
so off track. No, we're talking about this right now. Like, no bullshit.
Yeah,
Like,
I'll work on it.
I'm the same way. Like, I was like Mike. I'm only 6 months sober. Like, when I was a year sober, I was like, I'm a year sober, bitches.
Yeah.
There was no more like, I'm only a year sober. I'm only 6 months sober. Like, one of the biggest problems I think addicts have and alcoholics have is that we do not give ourselves any fucking credit when we get sober because we've been shit for so long. We don't feel that we deserve the credit.
It's true.
But, like amends. Who do we have to make amends to? Ourselves.
I jumped right to that step.
Yeah.
Like whenever I went to my parents and I said, when you thought I did this thing when I was like 17, I did it and I cried. And it was really terrible. It was something really, really terrible.
Go figure.
Yeah. That was like, that was the height, like the worst I was on drugs.
Yeah.
Was 17 to like 19. But yeah, like,
we don't forgive ourselves.
I don't know how to describe it. I just feel like I'm doing what I'm supposed to do now instead of what is against what society expects of me. Do you know?
I mean, what I'm getting at is that we don't forgive ourselves. We don't cut ourselves any slack. We don't, we're constantly fighting our own recovery. We're constantly fighting our own sobriety by holding on to the thoughts and the images and the things that we did in our past, right? We can't forget them.
Yeah.
They are who we are, right? We can't forget them.
They shaped us.
But we still have to remember that we are doing something extraordinary. We are doing something so amazing for ourselves. I don't care what anybody else thinks, but we're staying sober. We're making good decisions. We've flipped our lives around to where we're no longer doing the things we did before. We're not acting the way we acted before. We're letting people in. We're making new decisions. We're letting things happen. We're not freaking out about everything, right? Like, when do we realize that, it's okay? Like, we've made mistakes, but it doesn't make us a bad person. Somebody in my treatment center said, you're not a bad person. You're just a sick person trying to get well.
Fair.
And that's what I'm getting at is, like, we don't, and Mike, you could chime in.
Sure.
Like, we spend the first year, like, hey, listen to the meetings in NA. Oh, I did this, I did that, I did this, I did that, I did this. It's only my second, I've been to rehab 4 times, I've been to rehab 3 times. Like, nowhere in there do they say, in my new life, what I'm doing now.
Yeah.
It always starts with what we did before. It never starts with today.
I had that conversation recently with someone. I had that exact conversation. I'm not going to get into it because of incompetence, but pretty much that same exact thing is that everybody wants to harp on what was.
Yes.
But they don't want to talk about what's coming up.
Yeah, so, sorry, my ears itching.
Let me chime in on that. And I think, Mark, you even said it to me. I think you said, and my sponsor said, and that was this week, and I do have a sponsor now, and I am going to start working the steps.
Good job.
Yeah, thank you.
Congratulations.
But 2 things. I still do. Like, I'll be, saying it's 60 days, but then I go and I refer to, but it was my 4th treatment. Just like, stop bringing that crap
Well, it's
up.
like when we first met, I was like, this is your first treatment because this is the first one where you gave a shit.
Yes.
And you actually believe you're going to be sober.
Yeah, and I do. I beat myself up. I beat myself up all the time. I have that quote unquote Irish Catholic guilt.
Oh,
but yeah,
yes.
and it's a thing. But yeah, I do. And I still, I just don't think about like, I failed these other 3 times, but no, you're right. Yeah. Like, this is my first treatment, doing things 180 degrees different. And then real quick, because I'm, first time, thanks for letting me be involved with this again.
Oh, no doubt, brother, no doubt.
So I'm just working my way into like not cutting you off or anything.
No,
like
feel
that.
free.
Yeah.
Feel free. Kelly does it all the time. It's part of the show.
I have to cut him off or he won't shut the hell up.
But when you
She's
were
right.
when you were talking about the steps, I mean it's different. Your recovery is your recovery.
Yeah.
So because I've heard people in meetings and in treatment and whatever say things like, well, I can do the first 3 steps in 30 minutes. And I've heard other people say, hey, it's taken me 6 months or a year. You go at your own pace. So, I mean, because, yeah, I can tell you every day, I'm powerless over alcohol. So, yeah, I did step one, but I mean, did I really do it? So, you go at your own pace. People that are watching, listening, go at your own pace. It's your recovery. It's your recovery. Take it serious, but it's your recovery. Just
Yeah.
remember that.
And that's absolutely correct. It is your specific
Your.
recovery. You're not, nobody's recovery is the same.
Nope.
Nobody's done everything the same. Like, you might have gone to the same rehab, but maybe one of you had hallucinations and the other one couldn't stop seizing. You don't know how bad somebody had it or how little. I mean, there are people I know that, consider marijuana a drug and have gone to like rehabs and stuff for that. Their stuff is different than my stuff.
Yeah.
I didn't go to rehab,
I mean, like there's 17,000 different levels of alcoholic.
Right,
like
yeah.
there's
yeah.
there's the I should have lost everything and been sleeping on a street in a brown paper bag, Mark Kneebone type of alcoholic. And there's the alcoholic that binges once a year and goes on a 4-day bender and then is fine for 12 months. I mean, I guess my biggest thing with this whole idea of like, it's being present. Like, I've seen a transition in me where now it's not like I used to do this, I used to do that. It's like, today, what am I doing today? Oh, I got to do this today.
Yeah.
I don't start off going, well, what did I do yesterday? I stop. I still catch myself, but I'm not dwelling in what I did and who I was and what got me here. Like,
Yeah.
I'm enjoying what's happening. Like, I may have shitty days. I really don't want to find out that I got to drive, 800 miles in 2 days, but like, it doesn't bother me anymore
Yeah.
because it goes back to the thing. Like, every day we wake up, we're sober, we're clean,
Yes.
but we're not just sober and clean. Because if we're just sober and clean, that's not enough.
Yeah.
You got to find happiness somewhere.
I mean, I am happy.
Now, I'm not saying you personally.
Oh, I
but
thought
people-
we were still
people-
talking about
No,
me.
no,
I'm
no,
like,
no.
but I
Kelly,
am
it's all about
happy.
Mark. Have you
No,
not
no,
figured
no,
that
no.
out?
This
No,
is-
it's
this
not
is-
about you, Kelly. It's about Mark. Come on.
You're fired already. No, but it's all about happiness, right? Like, you can
Yes.
be sober and you can be clean and you can be fucking miserable,
Yeah.
right? Like, you can be a dry drunk. I
Yeah.
was the first time I got sober, and that lasted like a month
Yeah.
because it was miserable. But if you don't find the happiness and the I don't want to say serenity because I think that word is overused, but in this case it works. Serenity.
It's serenity.
That feeling of being comfortable with yourself in your own shoes and not having to change or regret what you do or
See,
who you
I
are.
haven't gotten there yet. I'm just not. In my head, I'm still like, I could have done so much more for my daughter if I wouldn't have. I could have done so much more with my life if I wouldn't have. I could have been somewhere. I could have been in a I could have been at a job for a decade at this point, invested, but I quit.
But you're getting there.
I am, and eventually I'm going to get to the point where I find myself good enough, but I just don't.
See, I quit a good job with a police department to go back to driving a truck and hauling hazardous materials in the heart of my addiction.
Wow.
Like, huge life change in the middle of my addiction, right? And folks, I don't know if you know this, but that's really bad time to make big decisions. Like, when you're in the act of addiction, like in it, like both knees up to the fucking waist, and it took me, that was 2019. I got sober and I was still mad at myself for quitting because I told myself this narrative. I told myself this bullshit narrative that, like, oh, I was trying to fix my marriage. Oh, I was trying to do this. No, I quit because I just got pissed off one day that nobody wanted to do any work anymore. I was like, I'm out of here. I can't do this anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And I quit, Now, being sober and dealing with this stuff with my therapist, like, I've realized that there was a much bigger process behind it. Like, I went through this process, but I just didn't understand it.
Yeah.
Because I was drunk.
Yeah.
Right? But I left because I was unhappy. I left because a job didn't hold anything for me anymore. I left because I didn't want to do that anymore. So the decision was made, was the right decision. but it was made into the wrong circumstances with a bunch of lies attached to it.
Yep.
So I could tell everybody else, you
Yep.
know? And this is once again is being present and knowing that I don't have control. Like somehow that decision was made in the heart of my addiction, and it was the right decision.
Yeah.
But what was guiding me through that? What was saying, hey, dipshit, like you need to stop doing this because it's no good for you.
That name is taken. You can't be dipshit.
Okay, whatever.
You're a fuckface.
No, but seriously, like I could have made so many bad decisions, and everything I did at the end of my addiction has worked out for the best.
Yeah, I mean,
There is something out there.
you
know?
it's the same for me. It's the same for me. You know, me finding my therapist was literally an act of God. There's absolutely. I was so early in my recovery when that happened. I was only like 2 weeks sober. Like when that happened, it completely changed the foundation of what I was working toward. Like it made me want to stay sober because like somebody was looking out for me. Somebody, you know.
Yeah,
It's probably my guardian angel.
yeah. I mean, and
They roll their eyes at me a lot.
see, I need tangible. Like when I started in recovery, I needed something tangible, something I could touch, feel, see, hear. Like I couldn't believe in something I couldn't see. I couldn't touch it. So, you know, for me, it was like AA. Like I could go to AA and be like, hey,
Brother.
you're here.
Oh,
You're
it's
here.
hugging
You're here. It's
time.
hugging time. And it's shitty coffee time. You know, it's, you know, buy necklaces that have engravings on them so you can look at them every day. Like I need that type of tactile, like in my face, something I can see and touch and feel, you know. And now as I've gone through the processes and I continue to work on myself every day and try to be a better person and blah, 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 blah. And I, you know, I fail miserably half the time. But, you know, I went back to church and both the sermons that I went to, both the services I went to, the sermons really did fit what I was feeling. It was almost like this was the time for you to go back to church.
Yeah, and there's something about that, right? It makes
Yeah.
you feel a certain type of way.
It made me feel really good.
Yeah.
Because I think I mentioned, like, got real upset because as soon as I got to church, and, like, you know, this is a new modern age church, right? It's like, singing and dancing and all kinds of annoying shit going on. And, like, I'm sitting there like, can we just get to the whole sermon part of this shit? Sorry, Grace Life Church. I love you guys. You're awesome. But, you know, all I could think about was Kenny. All I could think about is if this God is so amazing, why did he take away a beautiful person? And I don't know, like, and then both the sermons were like, okay, like makes me feel better.
Yeah.
You know, once again, not saved, not going to be screaming praise Jesus anytime soon, but you know,
I'm open to going back to church. You know, I find comfort in Catholic ceremonies. I do.
I find a lot of great things about Catholic Church, but the best thing is sleeping during their service because it takes 4.5 hours.
It does not. It's an
Does
hour long. It's literally on Steeler Sunday. If you got a good priest, that dude gets you out early so you can go watch the game.
But the only way you know if you know he's a good priest if you could see the yellow and gold, the black and gold underneath his whatever you call it.
It's Catholic.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I mean, like, I'm open to I like the tradition.
Yeah.
I know what's happening next. I know there's going to be a reading next. And I know I'm going to have to stand at this point. I'm going to have to kneel at this point. I'm going to have to go to communion at this point. Like, I like the order of it.
Structure.
The structure of it. That's the word I was looking for.
See, I like the freedom of the, like I said, Grace Life Church. I like the freedom of what they do because, you know, it's 45 minutes an hour of a sermon, but like they do a lot of worship in the beginning. It's like literally singing. They have a band up there. They sing. People are all excited. You know, I feel uncomfortable because I'm not
You're not
I'm
that
not open
guy.
like that.
Yeah, you're not that
like
guy.
you know when somebody goes like this, like I'm like, is this We Are the World? What's going on here? You know, yeah, you know. But I like the service because I like what the minister has to say, and I like his delivery, and I like his style. So like, I'll keep going to that church, even though I might be coming in a little bit later and later and later, like a half hour late, so I can go right into the sermon. But you know, it's still a good
Whatever
place.
works for you.
Still
Yeah.
a good place. Look, I'm wearing my Jesus Savians bracelet again. So, you know, I do believe in God, And I think I'm finally at the point in my process where step 2 and step 3 might be leaning towards that higher power.
Sure.
But for me to stay sober, it's still this.
Yeah.
Still what we do here. It's still meeting people like Mike. It's still, trying to do whatever it is, just trying to do a good thing. You know,
Yeah.
trying to do something better with my life. That's where it ends right now. That's what keeps me from putting a bullet in my head.
Good.
And just
Can
to
you-
jump in, just to, if you don't mind.
No.
What I was,
Oh,
Kelly.
we completely mind.
Okay. But two things. Try different churches. I've done that. I've jumped around, and it's kind of like AA meetings. I jump around to different stuff, like whatever works for you, and just think about, like you said, you thought about going back to church. If you do, just look at it this way: it's 55 minutes to an hour, another hour of you being sober. That's the way I've looked at sometime.
That's actually
Another
a great way to look at it.
yeah, just another option in your life that you've got another hour, in your life where you're happy, level-headed. So just something to think about.
Yeah.
And the narrative part, but Mark, I was thinking about, you said that you could tell us alcoholics and addicts, we are the best storytellers and narratives. You can make yourself believe anything. I was getting a chuckle about that over here when you said that. It is the truth, and how I'm here, my narrative. I don't know if we even have enough time, and we'll get into it another week.
Well, when you're ready, bro,
Yeah.
we'll do a
Yeah,
whole show
we'll
with
do-
you.
yeah,
when
you'll
you're
just
ready,
come on
you
camera
just let
with
us
us.
know, and we'll give you the whole show.
And Kelly, I wanted to say one other, the tangible part, in Mark, the tangible part that I have a hard time too. That I get feelings, but at the same time, I need to like feel, touch, see something to what my higher power is going to be. And I know I talked about that a little bit, but yeah, it's like what's going to strike me down, or what's going to show up that it's like, all right, it's on. I get it now. I get it.
I'm
So
telling you, it'll happen.
Right.
It'll happen right when you need it the most. There's two I'll talk to you afterwards.
Sure.
But like there were two specific instances that it was that was tangible to me. Like
Okay.
I knew that was God. But that's me. You know what I mean? I'm not gonna say like anybody else.
I think the bottom line is that if you're in the programs, if you're in the rooms, and someone tries to tell you what your higher power should be, find another room.
Yep.
I mean, because no one, first off, in AA and NA, no one should be giving you advice or telling you how to do things or telling you you're doing it the wrong way. They're there to tell you what they did, how it worked out, what they didn't like about it, how they got to where they are, how they're doing what they're doing, but from their experiences, not to tell you what to do and how to live your life. So if you're in a room like that, then probably look for a better one.
Yeah.
And there's plenty of them out there. But I think, I'm going to do this. Mike, so if you have any advice on step 2 or anything to take away from it, what would it be with this, what we talked about today?
To take away, I'll go back to it. This is your recovery. I quit. I'm trying not to harp on that, but it is. It's your recovery. And Mark, that's what I take away from it. It's you. It's your path. Go get advice. Talk to different people. Go to different meetings. Maybe the meeting is your higher power. Maybe your sponsor's your higher power. Maybe God's your higher power. But that's what I take away. I haven't exactly found mine yet. Maybe both my parents have passed away. They're sometimes my higher power. It can be a couple. That's what I take away. It's just, I can't, for me, what I take away is that I can't do this by myself. I had a really good family member that I talked to before I went into the emergency room for alcohol poisoning and seizures and almost dying because I was drinking myself to death. I'm like, what? She said to me, she's like, I'm like, what am I doing wrong here? And she's like, you can't do this by yourself. And it was some of the best advice I got from this relative. And I know I've just admitted that I can't do this by myself. There is a higher power out there. I'm still looking for mine. And maybe it will be a couple. Not to get rambling, but but remember, folks, it is your recovery. Get as much advice you can. Take it, take it however you want to, but just it's you to get better.
Cool.
Cool.
And
Informative.
not one to jump out of your skin.
Yeah, that's hard to fight.
Yeah.
Kel, what about you? What would you say?
I mean, honestly, I have to agree with Mike. It is your recovery. Everybody's going to be different. I mean, maybe you worship freaking Elmo and that's your thing. Okay.
You
Like,
found me out.
I knew it. I knew it.
Son of a bitch.
No, I mean, like, for real. Like, for me, it's God. It is God. And the typical God, all-knowing God, you know what I mean? The guy in the white with the beautiful sun behind him, like that type of God. That's what I think of. But most of the time when I'm not talking to God, I'm relying on myself.
As you should.
Yeah, how about you, Mark?
For me, it's kind of a combination of things. It's like Mike said, it is your recovery. So your journey is going to traverse in a way that nobody can predict. Like nobody in a room can tell you have to do step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4, step 5, step 6, blah 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 blah. Life is going to present you with opportunities, little nuggets, right? Little pieces of wisdom and little pieces of amazing intuition, and you just got to be open and listen and be self-aware.
Yeah.
You know, pay attention to how you're feeling, pay attention to what you're thinking, pay attention to, you know, your physical signs. And at some point these things will happen. You know, at some point you'll figure out your higher power. But just believe in something as simple as I don't have control.
Yeah.
And I have to give up control. And for right now, I don't care where that control goes. It's just not with me.
Yeah, and the other thing, Mark, and you said, I agree totally. The other thing that because of course I'm selfish.
Gotta be.
We are.
Yeah, in your recovery, you have to have the willingness. The willingness is another huge word that I've had to come up. The willingness to make changes and to do things different. There's nothing wrong with doing stuff different.
Well, they use willing a lot in the 12 steps, you know,
Yeah.
willing to do this, willing to do that. And,
Yes.
you know, I agree with you, Mike. I think one of the biggest things we have to do as a person in recovery is remain self-aware. Literally, I know I say it a million times, but if you're not self-aware, if you're not paying attention to yourself, do you expect somebody else to? Do you expect somebody else to tell you what you're going through? Like, we have to pay attention to ourselves, our feelings, our emotions, our stress levels, you know, our physical feelings. Because if we don't, you know, we're just going to continue to make bad decisions because we're numb.
Right.
So I think for me, it's being self-aware and just realizing that your path is going to go the way it's supposed to go.
Yeah.
And you're going to be where you need to be when you need to be there. So yeah, with that, any final words, anybody?
I gotta go to the bathroom.
Right there?
Yes.
That'd be awesome on camera. Kelly's going to pee real quick. Hold on.
Just give me 1 second, guys.
Hold on.
What?
I'm waiting for you to pee.
I'm not gonna pee on camera,
Oh, okay.
you weirdo. People gotta pay
Anyway,
for that shit.
that's all. Anyway, no, folks, thanks for tuning in again. Like I said, we're going to continue to talk our nonsense and tell you how we feel about the 12 steps of Alcoholics Anonymous and Narcotics Anonymous. We hope we don't offend anybody, but if we do offend you, tough shit, wear a helmet. Other than that, you know, there's always a seat here at the Steel City Roundtable for you, and we love to have you guys here. Kelly's going to tell us about our earrings.
I went to Walmart, y'all, and I found golden snake earrings. They're freaking cool.
We really got to figure out how to like zoom in cameras.
Yeah,
get a
so you
better
can
picture.
zoom in.
I'm not touching it.
We should probably just
Mike's like,
take,
"I'm not touching
we
the
should probably
camera."
just take a still frame photo of your earrings
Yeah.
so that I can insert it into the editing at the end.
Okay, yeah, we can do that every week.
Because, you know, I really know what I'm doing with this shit, right?
You know better than we do.
No, but 2 steps down, 10 more to go. We love you guys.
Love
You're
you.
never alone.
Thank you.
We're always here if you need us. Mike, thanks for joining us again.
Absolutely.
We appreciate it and hope you come back. Yeah, if you want to get a hold of us, steelcityroundtable@gmail.com. We are also available to embarrass ourselves in public if you'd like us to come talk to your folks.
Oh yeah, we'll come and talk to you.
Yeah, we'll
your
come.
Meetings.
We're a lot of fun to be around, even when we're sober. But yeah, glad to be here. We love you guys.
Love you.
Have a good week.
Bye.
Peace.